Hi there. Join our casual conversations for curious, bewildered, and aspiring midlife cannabis queens. Welcome to the Closet Disco Queen podcast, featuring Queenie and TT. So kick off your platform shoes, sit back, and get ready to laugh and learn all about adult use cannabis without having to ask a 22-year-old. Let's get rolling.
Hello, everyone. Queenie here. TT and I decided to take a break this week from generating all new content. Never fear, we would never leave you high and not laughing. Here's a replay of our number 2 most downloaded episode, Born to Be Alive from season 1. There might be something a little extra at the end. We'll see you all next week.
Well, folks.
Rewind.
Did you ever have a feeling of deja vu?
Yes, I have.
I have too, and it's the creepiest thing.
It's very strange.
Wow, I could have sworn we already started the podcast.
Well, I assumed we had.
Well, I did too. What happened?
I don't know.
I don't know. My fat little fingers must not have hit the proper button. We just had a trial run.
We were talking for like 20 minutes and
no, it wasn't.
we weren't
20
recording.
minutes.
Well,
thou dost exaggerate slightly.
do I? I have
Look,
no sense of time.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. No sense of time. But yes, we did prattle on for quite a while. Okay, now we know exactly what to say.
Right.
Okay, so let's try again. I'm sorry. Happy birthday, TT.
Thanks, Queenie.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm having a great day. Yesterday was fun. I got some beautiful flowers from some folks that I do some volunteer work with, and got a beautiful gift from my husband.
Ooh, that you're modeling right now. It's very lovely.
Now, yes. And also he sent us a new puzzle. My mom and I love to do jigsaw puzzles, and he sent us a Cape Cod puzzle.
Cool.
So that's going to be fun.
That will be fun.
Lots of little surprises throughout the day. One of my best surprises was the gift that you gave me. Oh my God. Queenie and I.
The gift of not recording the podcast.
No, Queenie and I are going to go see Randy Rainbow.
Yay!
I can't believe it. I love that guy.
Excitement.
Love him.
Now, even though I did give you 2 tickets, you can seriously. If there's someone you
Oh
would
my God, are you kidding?
It was just, I thought about that. Like, that was very presumptuous of me to. Here you give someone 2 tickets and then you just automatically assume that you're the other ticket, but that's...
You are the other ticket.
Well, I thank you so much, but I did want to make clear
Well,
that...
I wondered why you gave me 2 of them.
Well, because...
Well...
do you want to go alone?
Well, no, but I thought it would be like,
Okay, well, I gave you 2 tickets.
Thank you.
You may choose whomever.
I choose you, Queenie.
Like
you. We have
you.
to go together.
But yes,
I did tell my sister, she was a little bit jealous, but she did offer to lend me her pink cat's eye glasses. So
wow.
Yeah.
Now that's
a sister.
That's a big move.
Yep.
So yes, that'll be exciting. It was like, talk about the perfect gift.
Oh, so perfect.
Just
perfect.
Leapt right up at me.
My mother even was excited for me.
Wow.
I have been introducing her to Randy, and she loves him.
Oh, that's great.
I know.
So yes, I believe we will have a good time.
We will. I'm sorry. I was on to the next thing.
Oh, well, I know. It's hard to recreate what we so brilliantly created several moments ago into the ether, but we will move on from there. So we're both back from the Cape of Cod. We had a lovely time there. I had a lovely time sharing a few days with you and your family, and I appreciate the invite. It was great.
It was so much fun. So much fun.
It was.
And everyone loves you, of course. I was happy that you were there.
Well, I felt the love. It was lovely family. It's just it's a lot of fun spending time with your people, all your people. They're my people too. So
yes, they are.
It's great. So that was a tremendous joy. Our Closet Disco Queen podcast deals with legal adult cannabis use and is intended for entertainment purposes only for those 21 and older. But we have been back working and blah, blah. But we did have an exciting adventure yesterday.
We did. It was fun. I came out of there energized.
I did too.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually attended the Northeast Cannabis and Hemp Convention, the New York Cannabis and Hemp Convention held at the Albany Capitol Center this past weekend, yesterday and Friday. Well attended. There had to be, what would you say, 100,
Booths.
125?
Yeah, booths. And there were sessions going on all day long.
Exhibitors. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, and informational sessions. But I think the one thing that impressed both of us was the huge variety of exhibitors. So I guess, the automatic assumption, oh yeah, there'll be dispensaries there and there'll be people talking
Right.
about processing and all that good stuff. But we also learned
that there are so many different pieces of this industry that you might not initially think of. There's bankers and advertisers,
lawyers,
and lawyers, and people who make the walls that you,
yes,
in a greenhouse or a production center. There's security,
lighting.
Oh, lots of lighting stuff. Yeah.
Soil. Growing medium, we should say.
Growing medium. The other thing was the processing stuff.
People who literally very entrepreneurial, very creative people who developed technology or machines.
Yeah, inventors. This is like Eli Whitney and the Cotton Gin.
It is really. The one gentleman.
Who said he made this? He made a prototype. It worked. He's produced it now, and he's selling these things that can trim, and
debulk
whatever.
Weed,
like you can put in your raw plants, and it can. And using this machine, it will basically save you hours and hours and hours of work doing it by hand.
Trimming, right. So that was incredible. And then not too far away from that booth was another inventor who developed a unit that would dry and process, cure the bud in a tenth of the time or less than it would typically take once you harvested.
Yeah. And he even has, his I guess his biggest target audience would be large growers.
Large
but
operations.
He does have little individual units for home use, which I thought was really cool.
And cutting that time down, I could see would be beneficial to all involved because a lot of people don't like to wait. And sometimes it's weeks.
Right.
Before, once you harvest and before it's ready, it's been cured and dried and all that good stuff before it can be used. So it was just amazing. And then as TT referenced, this is also able to be scaled up to huge commercial producers. So just really fascinating.
Really
all this
cool. Yeah.
ingenuity going on behind the scenes, if you will. For years, these people can also now come out of the closet and market their products.
They're being sought after. We saw at least 2 companies that are basically project management companies. They will see an organization from seed to production to sales to, distribution. So I thought that was really cool too. It's like
help you every step along the way.
Right. These people in suits, are like seeking out growers now.
Well, I'm going to say we probably both had 2 favorite vendors. What was the first, would you say, that you would say was your favorite vendor?
Fish shit.
Fish shit. Yes, folks, you heard it right. Fish shit. these guys were hysterical.
They could be our grandsons.
They
you know,
could
they were
be
these
our
young,
grandsons. Yes.
Energetics, big, beautiful smiles.
Yep.
Yeah.
With these green bottles.
These bottles. And they were so excited about it.
Yes. Oh, honest to God, they had a pitch that they could have gone on Shark Tank. So who knows? Maybe they are rehearsing for that. They were quite professional.
I could see them winning that show.
It was a great pitch. But so they went through and explained fish shit. You got into the more technical, if you will, side of the business and production or discovering of this.
Yeah, I just wondered how did anybody come up with this? Like, and he said it was a teacher at school, a chemistry or biology teacher. I can't remember, chemistry, right? Who, I can't remember the exact story because my brain got a little stuck on that, like chemistry teacher doing this like in your spare time collecting fish shit, but whatever. And but apparently this guy said, I'm going to see how this works on my plants because it has XYZ properties in it. And, and it really made his plants grow. And then he knew somebody who had a marijuana plant and he said, try this stuff. And it really made a huge difference. So they've been experimenting and they're marketing it to cannabis growers now. And they have found that it actually has some unique properties. It can increase yield. It can
the cannabinoids.
Increased cannabinoids, increased terpenes. It's interesting that,
and it's live.
It's live stuff that you're in that little bottle.
Right.
He kept pointing out to the little air hole. He goes, see this air hole. So the air, because they're alive. And I'm thinking,
it's alive.
I'm just thinking of this little teeming green. Yeah.
Fish shit. Yes. So I give them a lot of credit because I loved their logo.
Oh, their logo.
Their logo was a riot. So, I mean, it was fairly large. It was represented throughout their booth. I mean, there was no...
Oh, they're so shying away from that logo.
It was a fish sitting on a toilet, reading a newspaper, presumably shitting. So this is all over this site. And we actually heard, I don't know why this hit me, it's funny. Someone asked both gentlemen, or just ponder, what's in this stuff? And both of them, in unison, as if rehearsed, said, this shit. It's like, wow, really? I don't understand why we had to ask the question. But
I know. I mean, I guess maybe they could. Well, maybe it's like the strain names. They thought, it's just a catchy strain, or catchy
name,
growing name or something.
Yes. But they were great. And then our second most favorite was a seed vendor.
Yeah.
From Hawaii. Or at least they were representing seeds that were genetically produced in the Aloha state.
Well, and I got the impression that he's the one who sort of did the genetic
manipulation.
Whatever.
Like the mad scientist.
Yeah, he's the one who developed those particular strains.
Yes. So he did present his calling card to us. And the name on the name on the calling card was Zaza. And we'll be hearing more about Zaza as time goes on. But he made it very clear that he had taken the initiative in naming these seeds that he has produced as a result of his manipulation of genetics. And he had a whole sheet of seeds that were he called the sensual strains, the sexy strains. So I think he was one of the few we spoke to who openly acknowledged.
Yeah, he was. In fact, when we tried to bring that up quite often, the subject was rapidly changed.
I think we made people uncomfortable.
Like, I did say to that one lawyer, you probably don't want to think about people our age having sex. Maybe that was a turnoff. I don't know.
That might have been a little too much information.
I was trying to engage him.
I know. He was, yes, we did try to engage him. We were trying to provide feedback, some of the feedback we've gotten through doing the podcast. And we basically told anyone who would listen to us that the two big the big things we're hearing from folks are sleeping, assistance with sleeping, maybe aches and pains. So in sleeping, we'll put relaxing too.
Right.
So we'll say, kicking back, relaxing.
Anti-anxiety.
Stress release. And then pain or aches, pains, discomforts.
Right.
And then the third major topic that we've been wrestling with, if you will, is sex. And we made that very clear that our listeners, these are the things they want to know about.
Yep.
And I think we were very open to sharing.
We were
information.
And and I think there was at least one person who was grateful for that.
Yes.
Saying, oh, well, this, it's good to know. And
we met the lovely folks at Berkshire Roots.
Oh, they were great.
Very, very, very open.
Very open. And also we talked to two women, which was really nice. And they completely understood the reluctance of women of our age to go in and, chat with a 20-something-year-old guy. But I would not have hesitated to chat with either of them.
Correct.
About anything regarding sex.
Yeah. So they were delightful. So it was very nice to see Berkshire Roots there. I believe they were the only, Curaleaf was there.
Curaleaf, yep.
More for the medical.
Yeah.
Product. I think they were representing more of that with the idea that they will most likely open recreational dispensaries in New York. So right now they do have medical dispensaries, I think 4 or 5 of them throughout the state. But that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And we picked up some great loot. Yeah, we did. We just went through and picked up swag wherever we could. Just like everybody does at every trade show ever.
I get home and I'm like,
what the hell is this shit?
Why do I need a pink Frisbee?
Well, I heard you tell him this matches our colors.
That's right.
So there, that's why you needed a pink Frisbee. Yes, because we grabbed anything we could.
But we did get samples fish shit.
We do. We have samples of fish shit. And we have some other fish shit merch.
Yeah, we do. And, I think maybe we should try and come up with some sort of a way to
give it away. We could do that.
Some fish shit.
They were very, we mentioned that to the fish shit boys, and they were very supportive of that. They said, that would be a great idea. And they were like giving us stuff. Here, take more.
Yeah.
So I think that would be fun. So we'll figure out what to do with all this fish shit that we have now. But as we said, you can use it on any
house plant,
any botanical, any flora. So you can grow whatever you'd like, your Christmas cacti, whatever.
Pathos.
Sure.
Spider plants.
Dracaena. Yes, any of the above. So that was blast. And we also met a young woman from the southern tier of New York, a Binghamton University graduate.
And she was great.
Right. She's developed a CBD botanical product line that she's worked on for the last several years and is making the pivot to incorporating THC into her products. And she graduated from Binghamton, as I said, and then spent some time out on the West Coast learning about cannabis and hemp biochemistry.
Right. I think, was she at Stanford?
I think that rings a bell.
I think that's where she was. Yeah.
So,
or was it? No, it was Berkeley. Of course, it would be Berkeley.
That's right. That was a grounder.
Silly me.
Wow. Yeah. That was definitely a grounder. It was very exciting. I think it was well worth our time. And of course, we got all that. All those goodies.
Stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I'm obsessed with stickers, but
we got a lot of them.
We got a lot of stickers, and now. Of course, I have to very seriously consider placement.
Where did they go?
Are you stick worthy? Like, am I going to stick this on something? And where?
Yeah,
the placement is key.
Very important questions.
So it's hard to say. So that was also wonderful. So I really think we've absorbed so much cannabis related goodness.
Yeah. And, there were several people who talked about, one guy was a sales guy.
For the Times Union.
Really, really enjoyed speaking with him.
Yeah.
Really nice
it was
guy.
Great.
Enjoyed our conversation, but he was saying that
He was saying that I'm what?
I forget what I was going to say.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
old
Queenie.
thing. Just dropping out in the middle of a thought.
I don't know where it went.
You just had the most blank look on your face. And I was looking like, oh, was that a cue for me to say something?
It kind of was. I was hoping you knew where I was going.
The look of sheer panic on your face. I was like, oh dear. So yes, we were speaking with him, and this gentleman works closely with cannabis, the cannabis industry for advertising purposes, but he was a wealth of information for us and very supportive. And
he liked our T-shirts. That's where I was going.
Yes, he did. And he claimed he knew several buddies of his, who would have purchased a hoodie from us on the spot.
Yep. So we assured him that we are working on our merch store.
Yes, so that's where we were going with this story.
That was where I was headed.
A
to B
plus B equals C.
Hey, so merch.
So merch is coming. Yes. We're excited. I would say within the next 2.
I hope so.
We should be able to get that all squared away.
Waiting on some paperwork.
Paper. It's all paper. It's all about. So that's the next big thing coming down the pike for us is the merch. But this gentleman was also very, very helpful and made some great suggestions for folks to reach out to. So more to come on that too. So it was just really an outstanding day. Feel free to reach out to us on our website,
closetdiscoqueenpodcast.com.
And you can also find us on Facebook and LinkedIn at Closet Disco Queen Podcast. And we're also on Twitter at CDQ Podcast. Oh, the other thing I think that we made very clear, and you were very good in getting this concept across, was women our age, midlife women, are frequently the most overlooked demographic in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we also made ourselves available for consultation as needed because...
people just, I said this to one of the people we were talking to. My mom, I remember my mom saying to me, when you get older and your hair turns gray, you become invisible. Mm-hmm. And I think, that's true in a lot of cases. Sometimes the medical professionals you go to don't take you seriously. And, women throughout our lives, we just,
right.
Have not been afforded the same consideration as our male counterparts.
Correct.
Often. But having said that, we just said, this is a group of people you should be listening to and paying attention to.
That's right. So we're out there advocating for us, and we have some ideas. So if anybody wants to hear them, we'd be happy to share. But I think there's a lot that can be done to embrace our demographic and embrace folks our age and our gender to enter the recreational cannabis space safely and have fun while doing it and not feel intimidated or ashamed or whatever's holding you back. We want to try to break that barrier down. So we're in that for you. Absolutely in that.
And, we've just, we are not the sage on the stage, so to speak. We are exploring. We're going out there. We're learning. And we want to share it all with you.
Yes.
Because we know that many of you are in the same place.
Correct. Like if we could have one big doobie party, we would. Right?
Yeah.
We do an instructional type thing. Yeah. But we were talking to some insurers yesterday. A lot of things we need to explore before we
go around
doing group activities. But
that is something we are so interested in. We talked once about having pajama parties. It would be like, oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. But
absolutely,
we better pay attention.
Do we have any buzz? Wow. Rapid deterioration of cognitive abilities
I told you I lost the article.
Upon reaching the age of 64. Just vacant stare. No acknowledgement whatsoever. I thought you said you found it again.
I did, but then I lost. Well, I'm having trouble with my New York Times app.
Okay.
It's messing me up.
It's messing her up. Well, let's summarize.
Summarize.
The bottom line. What was the article?
It was
unknown.
It was something about sex and
it's always about
cannabis.
Sex.
I know. I feel like I talk about that too much, considering how much I engage in it. But
sex or cannabis?
Well,
reserved.
Sometimes
comment.
they go hand in hand, if you catch my drift. But
I gotcha. I'm feeling you. Well, no, not really.
No.
No.
I engage in cannabis more often than sex.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I did have an article.
I did kind of spring that on you.
Yeah, no, that you didn't. I had it and I lost it. And I'm sorry to all our listeners because I can't quote directly from the article, but I can give you a little synopsis.
We'll sign up. We'll go with the synopsis.
So essentially, the article acknowledged that there hasn't been a whole lot of research done. And of course, we know why that is. I won't go into that again. But that study questionnaire, most of the research that they have is self-reported on questionnaires. But this one particular doctor did a questionnaire with some of her patients, and those that reported back reported that the majority of them did experience increased desire, increased pleasure, increased sensation, and decreased pain and anxiety.
Whoa.
With the use of marijuana. So ladies, this is huge.
Huge.
And
the news is huge.
Yeah. There's New York Times articles that I can't access right now, but
we can't reference because it's in the ether somewhere.
Well, I don't, we have a
phone.
Subscription, but there's two of us who use it.
Oh, it could be locked down. All this.
Yeah.
Well, I did offer to print it out, but that's okay.
Huh? You did offer to print it out, didn't you? And I was like, no, I got this.
No, that's okay. It's all right. Well, okay.
You knew where that was going, didn't you?
I just, I've decided of late to just let the universe occur.
Well,
I'm trying to not exert as much effort
or feel like you have to
intention.
Fix everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
that's a good thing.
I'm sorry if I did not perform as you.
No, I'm the one who didn't perform. For goodness' sakes,
anticipated because I have typically.
You did offer that.
I did, but
anyhow,
that's okay. Yeah. But the bottom line is, yes, cannabis has anecdotally been shown to provide enhancement of a sexual nature.
What does that mean? Who knows? For each person, I'm sure it's different. I think the article said that, different people with different things. And so here again, go low and go slow and
experiment.
Try different things. If the first thing you try, you're like, nothing,
Increase the dose, maybe.
Maybe increase the dose. Maybe try a different strain.
Correct.
Once you find that thing,
once you get in the zone,
love it.
Love it. We guarantee that. Enhancing pleasure. In fact, we can refer to a very recent experience that we both have had in the pleasure enhancement arena.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it was exquisite. And I must say, TT, it was amazing to share with you.
It was so special.
Oh,
I said to Queenie as she
speechless
was was
enjoying
the first. I said, "This is exactly what crumb cake is supposed to be. It is supposed to be 75% crumbs,
all crumb,
25% cake, and that's some genius hit upon
figured
this
that
recipe
out somewhere.
Oh my goodness!
The co-op, the Niskayuna co-op crumb cake.
Seriously, you've got
Genius.
to try it.
Genius. I think I ate a full quarter stick of butter in one mouth full. It was
so good.
So good. Like they have the ratio down.
Perfect.
Oh,
Perfect.
It was 2 inches of crumb and maybe an inch of cake.
Because you never get enough of
You
it.
never do. And that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
The crumb.
Yeah.
Admit it. It's time to play that favorite game of one and all. Is it a strain? Or a figment of Queenie's brain? TT, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What's the score? I'm looking to you for answers here.
The score is 6 wins, 10 losses.
Okay. That sounds right. We'll say that's correct. Because I know we got a little waylaid there with the back and forth and comings and goings.
We did. And you know what? If it isn't right, fuck it. We'll just start over.
We'll reset the clock. So you have an opportunity at this point to go 10-7.
We do. Or at 7
and 10. Sorry.
I think we do wins first.
Okay. 7 and 10. So are you prepared to receive this week's selection?
I am. However, before you throw that at me, I would like to just mention that we mentioned this game to a couple of people at the convention, and they were like, "How do you play that? How can you tell the difference?"
See?
Oh, okay. So
yes.
That brought me, I just want to say, that did bring me a slight bit of comfort. It is a very difficult game.
Yes. What about? Yes, people did agree with you that it is difficult. They did. We also learned
how fragile I am.
We also learned how fragile you are. No, we also learned that, unbeknownst to me, there is quite a bit of, I'm going to say, less than mainstream strain naming going on.
Mm-hmm.
So these seed producers from around the country are busy genetically engineering their own strains, and then they're naming them. So they're not necessarily in mass production. They might be more
based on the local area, grower, supplier.
Yeah, like a craft, more of a craft strain. So who knows? We may be, some of these names that I'm making up could very well be somewhere.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Once we put them on the website, which I was supposed to do, and I will.
And we offered them freely to anybody who was looking for names for various strains. So we're just very altruistic that way.
We are.
Yeah. So
maybe someday we'll have our own.
Yeah, we even mentioned that. I think maybe the geneticist from Hawaii would work with us on that. He seemed to be open to it, or I was just still, very under the effects of.
Or perhaps he was. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. We can do that. Yeah.
You know what I also forgot to mention is how the vibe was. It was, I've been to some of these trade shows and it's like, I don't know. It's just not fun. This vibe was so laid back, so engaging, conversational.
All the above.
Just really nice people. What a cool industry.
Yeah, it was great. No stress.
Yeah. And several of the vendors we talked to thought the same thing. That they didn't necessarily work in the cannabis industry per se until now. They're just beginning to, and they're like, everybody we talk to and deal with is so great.
Right. Helpful, supportive.
So, and that is not
typical
general corporate America. Yeah.
No. It's every man for themselves.
Right.
But no, this is a very cooperative, congenial, collaborative type of environment. Not to say there's not competition,
Of course there is.
but
Yeah.
I think that it's just on a different plane, if you will.
Mhm.
So, alrighty.
All
This
right, I'm
week's
ready.
selection. Balmy drum.
Balmy drum. When you said balmy, I was thinking, oh, that sounds good. But drum? Drum. Balmy drum. I'm going to say that's a strain.
You have decided that balmy drum is a strain.
I have.
And upon what do you base that? Just a
Well,
sixth sense?
balmy.
Educated guess?
It's, you know what? It's, yeah. Well, there is stuff happening in my brain. So balmy, I'm thinking, it's sort of like tropical climate.
Yes,
It likes,
yes.
the weed likes to grow in that.
Mhm.
I don't know about balmy, but definitely warm.
Mhm.
And then drum, I thought about, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking of somebody playing the bongo drums. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, like really chill,
and that kind
cool.
of fits with
Like-
cannabis somehow. Yeah, little bongo action. So, yeah, that's how I got there. That's why I think it's an actual strain.
Would you be surprised to know that it's an actual drum?
Oh. There's
Yes.
a drum called Balmy Drum.
Yes. Yes. I got it from a Facebook ad this morning.
I was going to say, how do you find these random things?
It's
And
one
thank
of
you
those
for the
drums that
drawing.
looks like a gourd
Oh.
that you just like ping on the top of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Balmy.
Balmy gourd.
Balmy
Drum.
drum.
It's a...
I didn't say gourd.
No, but
It looks like a
I'm
gourd.
trying to
Understand
how it's balmy. At least my explanation made sense.
It did. I think you
gourds
certainly made
grow in balmy?
an argument for that as a strain name. For sure.
There's no logic involved in it. That's the thing I have to realize. I might just have to start like playing odds instead of trying to cipher it out.
Ciphering. Well, maybe. But I think you did apply some good logic.
Yeah, I thought it was
in your
sound.
attempt to come forward with an answer.
I don't
but
get partial credit though, do I?
no, no. What for? What? What part?
Effort.
Oh, here, thumbs up. Yay!
Good try.
Good try. I'll give you a star. So that would bring us now to 6 and 11.
Oof.
Ooh.
Thanks for joining us at the Closet Disco Queen podcast. Grab a brownie or doobie, pass us to your friends, and be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. And be sure to leave us a 5-star review as it helps others find us. Peace out.
The inheritance. Mom, I can pour my own tea, Margaret said, watching her mother meticulously measure honey into the cup. At 62 years old, Margaret had been making her own tea for over half a century. But every time she visited her mother's house, Evelyn insisted on serving her as if she were still a child. I know you can, Evelyn replied, not looking up from her task. But why would you when I'm right here? At 86, Evelyn's hands trembled slightly, but she refused to acknowledge any diminishment of her capabilities. Margaret sighed and leaned against the kitchen counter. She'd flown across 3 time zones for this visit, worried about her mother living alone since her father's passing 6 months ago. But she'd forgotten the other part of coming home, the way her mother's love could feel simultaneously like a warm blanket and a straitjacket. Catherine called this morning, Margaret said, trying to distract her mother from the tea preparation. The board is considering her for the CFO position. At 38, can you imagine? Evelyn's hands paused briefly before continuing to stir the tea with precision. That's nice, dear, but I hope she's not neglecting those girls of hers. You know, Helen's granddaughter is raising 3 children and still manages to be home for dinner every night. And there it was, the subtle critique that had shaped 3 generations of women in their family. Margaret loved her mother dearly, but Evelyn had a talent for making her feel like her family's choices were perpetually disappointing. Being CFO is a big deal, Mom. Catherine worked incredibly hard for this. I'm sure she did, Evelyn said, placing the teacup on a saucer with a biscuit arranged perfectly alongside it. But those girls need their mother, don't they? Margaret bit back a retort. She'd had this conversation too many times to count over her own 30-year career climbing the corporate ladder, and it always ended the same way, with her feeling defensive and her mother feeling misunderstood. Thanks for the tea, Margaret said instead, accepting the cup. Evelyn smiled, clearly pleased with herself. Drink it while it's hot. That night, Margaret couldn't sleep. The guest room, formerly her childhood bedroom, had been meticulously preserved, unlike her father's study, which had been emptied with ruthless efficiency after his funeral. Margaret grabbed her robe and wandered downstairs for a glass of water. To her surprise, the kitchen light was on. Evelyn sat at the table, looking through what appeared to be an old leather-bound journal. Mom, everything okay? Evelyn startled slightly. Oh, I thought you were asleep. Couldn't, Margaret admitted, filling a glass from the tap. She peered over her mother's shoulder. What are you looking at? Your father's journals. Evelyn's voice had a wistfulness Margaret rarely heard. Did you know he wanted to be a writer? Margaret stared at her mother in disbelief. Dad? A writer? He was an accountant his whole life. Before that, Evelyn said softly, before we married, he had all these stories. She flipped through pages of cramped, faded handwriting. But then you came along and we needed something stable. Margaret sat down stunned. Her father, the most practical, unimaginative man she'd ever known, had wanted to be a writer? I had no idea. He gave it up, Evelyn continued. For us, he never complained. Were you happy? Margaret asked suddenly, you and Dad? Evelyn's fingers traced the lines of her husband's writing. We were comfortable. She looked up, her eyes unexpectedly clear. But I think there's a difference between the life you choose and the life you settle for. Margaret felt like she'd been struck. In 45 years of marriage, she'd never heard her mother express anything but contentment. I wanted to be a pilot, Evelyn said, the words startling in their unexpectedness. Did I ever tell you that? During the war, I saw those women flying planes, and I thought, that could be me. Why didn't you? Margaret asked, though she already knew the answer. Different times, Evelyn said simply, and then your father proposed and, well, you make your choices. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken regrets hanging between them. I saved all your business awards, Evelyn said, finally changing the subject. In the attic. Every newspaper clipping, every magazine feature, youngest female CEO in the industry, that sort of thing. Margaret felt something catch in her throat. You always said I worked too much. I did, didn't I? Evelyn shrugged. Maybe I was jealous. Maybe I wanted to protect you from disappointment. Maybe both. The next morning, Margaret came downstairs to find her mother already in the kitchen. This time, instead of making tea, Evelyn was struggling with a laptop, the one Margaret had given her last Christmas that had remained largely untouched. What are you doing? Margaret asked. Trying to figure out how to use this damn thing, Evelyn grumbled. Catherine set up some video call thing so I can see the girls' piano recital next week. I thought maybe you could teach me. Margaret stared at her mother. This woman who had spent decades suggesting she spend more time at home with her children, now fumbling with technology to watch her great-granddaughters perform from 3,000 miles away. It's not complicated, Margaret said. Evelyn gave her a skeptical look. So you say. That's what people who understand things always say to people who don't. Margaret felt a smile tug at her lips. Okay, let's start with the basics. She reached for the laptop, her fingers brushing against her mother's. First, you have to open the lid all the way. Evelyn rolled her eyes. I'm old, not incompetent. They both froze for a second, then burst out laughing at the accidental truth of it all. Later that afternoon, as they worked on setting up video calling shortcuts for each family member, Margaret's phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. "Mom, the board meeting ended. I got it. I'm the new CFO." "Everything okay?" Evelyn asked, noticing Margaret's expression. Margaret looked up, beaming. "Catherine got the position." Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Your father would have been proud of her." "And you?" Margaret asked carefully. "I'm learning to be," Evelyn admitted. "I spent 50 years worrying about what everyone was giving up for success. Maybe it's time I celebrated what they gained instead." Margaret reached across the table and squeezed her mother's hand. "It's not too late, to try new things." "Like what?" Evelyn scoffed. "Flying planes?" "Why not?" Margaret challenged. "Maybe not commercial airlines, but there are flight simulators or actual flying lessons for seniors." Evelyn considered this, looking both terrified and intrigued. "Your father would have said I was being ridiculous." "Maybe that's why you never did it while he was alive," Margaret said gently. "But he's not here now, Mom. You are." That evening, after they'd called Catherine to congratulate her, with Evelyn managing the video call all by herself, Margaret found her mother back at the kitchen table with her husband's journals. "I've been thinking," Evelyn said without preamble. "I'd like to type up your father's stories. Maybe get them published somewhere. A small press or one of those self-publishing things Catherine mentioned." Margaret sat down across from her. "I think that's a wonderful idea." "And," Evelyn continued, a nervous edge to her voice, "I booked an introductory flying lesson, just in one of those little 2-seater planes. The instructor does all the real work, but—" She trailed off, looking embarrassed. Margaret felt her eyes sting with sudden tears. Dad would have had a heart attack. "Probably," Evelyn agreed with a small smile. "But you know what? I spent 45 years being exactly who Harold needed me to be. Maybe I can spend whatever time I have left discovering who I am." "I'll help you," Margaret promised, "with all of it." Evelyn reached across the table and patted her daughter's hand. "And I'll try to stop criticizing Catherine's choices. And the girls." She paused, though someone should tell Zoe that those jeans she wears are entirely too tight. Margaret laughed. "Baby steps, Mom, baby steps." The next morning, as Margaret prepared to fly home, Evelyn pressed a small package into her hands. "For Catherine," she said, "a congratulations gift." Margaret opened it to find a vintage silver compass polished to a brilliant shine. "It was mine," Evelyn explained, "from when I used to dream about flying. I thought she could use it in her new office, a reminder that no matter how high you climb, it's important to know which way is home." Margaret embraced her mother, feeling the frail bones beneath her hands, the surprising strength still in Evelyn's grip. "You were a good mother," Margaret whispered. "I was the mother I knew how to be," Evelyn corrected. "You were better, and Catherine might be the best of us all." Because sometimes love looks like a cup of tea you didn't ask for. Sometimes it looks like saved newspaper clippings never mentioned. And sometimes it looks like 3 generations of women, each giving the next a little more freedom than they had themselves, finding the courage to break patterns and forge new paths.